I welcome all of you to this webinar on cross-border tourism, particularly river cruise tourism between India and Bangladesh. Now, before I get into the details of this webinar, let me begin by saying that all of us are going through this stressful time. So on behalf of CUTS International and our partners, I pray for your safety and for your well-being. So in today's webinar, as we know, that we have an excellent panel of speakers. There will be two special addresses to be delivered respectively by Mrs. Amita Prasad. She is the chairperson of the Inland Waterways Authority of India, and by Commodore Golam Sadeq. He is the chairperson of Bangladesh Inland Water Transport Authority. Other than them, we have an excellent panel. Now, this work is part of a program, a project called TROSA, Transboundary Rivers of South Asia, which is supported by the Swedish International Development Agency, and its support is to Oxfam Novi. And they have a number of partners like us while implementing this work. For example, we are implementing this work in Bangladesh in partnership with Oxfam Bangladesh, and I see that one of our dear colleagues from Oxfam Bangladesh, Enamul Mazid Siddique, he is present in today's webinar, and he is also going to speak to our side. Now, this is one area through our work which we have found that there is huge potential. And at the same time, we have found through our fieldwork that while government agencies like the IWAI and BIWTA, they are doing their work, very good work, there are three critical elements which you need to keep in mind going forward. First is infrastructure. Of course, infrastructure improvements are taking place. The necessary infrastructure is being put into place. But that is something IWAI is doing, BIWTA is doing. That is something we have to keep in mind. Second is regulatory issues. That means that we have to have the right regulations. I'm not talking about either over regulations or under regulations. We have to have right regulations in place. And third is public awareness. Now, in all respect to all this, it is very important for the public as well as the private sector to work together. Therefore, today we are organizing this public-private dialogue where we are going to hear from IWAI and BIWTA, and then a number of stakeholders from the private sector in particular. And media is also having a very important role. Therefore, we have a very senior media person, Mr. Kashyap, who is the State Information Commissioner of Assam, with us today. So we are going to hear from all of them. So without much ado, let me now request Mrs. Amita Prasad, Chairperson of the Inland Waterways Authority of India, for making her presentation. I understand that she is going to make a presentation, and then I request Commodore Sadeq to give us his speech on this subject. So over to you, Mrs. Prasad, in coming to our platform on this very important subject. Over to you, madam.
Good morning, everybody from India and Bangladesh, and all the people from CUTS, TROSA. It's a really very, I must say, a noble initiative on your part. Though we are all fighting COVID and the traffic has come down substantially, but I'm sure in time to come, things will improve. I will like to make a small presentation of about 10 to 12 minutes, and then I'll give you the overview what Government of India is doing and we are doing. So as you all are aware that Maritime India Vision 2030 has been recently announced by Government of India, in which what we have suggested that almost 13,000 passengers movement is in 2019. 2020, of course, it is much less because of COVID, and about 100 cruises had taken place on this route. It has positioned to grow 8 times, and this is the figure given by both shipping and tourism ministries. So what we need is now, that is what we are going to talk. As you all are aware that river cruise is a leisure activity with stops en route. And if you can look at the map which I have given you, which connects NW1, NW2 and Bangladesh, which is the topic for today, this will be a really good initiative on part of both India and Bangladesh and all the stakeholders here. This is a unique way of traveling and enjoying geographical and landscape of culture. But then ecological concerns remain, and then we will be looking at all the challenges, also what we are doing. The map, as you are seeing, that it also have some red dots which give the port of calls. So many jetties are also available, and these are the points of port of calls. As you can see that NW1, 2 and 16, they are the active route. And these circuits, there are 3 circuits: Mongla circuit, Barisal circuit and Narayanganj circuit. These are the 3 circuits which have been operational on this. Internationally, river cruise are very famous. I have given some alluring pictures of Danube and Nile rivers, which can show the cultural, geographical and leisure activities, and they are very popular. There is a potential of this river cruise also becoming something like them. River tourism in India, there are about 12 routes at present. I have given you a few sites like Kerala is very famous, Goa Mandovi is famous, and Lakshadweep. Otherwise, there are 12 routes, which includes Brahmaputra, Ganga, Sundarban areas also, which are included in IBP route also. Now, what are the vision of Government of India and IWI? One is that cruise shipping destination, as I told you, Maritime India Vision 2030 has already charted it out. So the joint cooperation of both governments, Bangladesh and India, on this route, Indo-Bangladesh Protocol route, is being promoted, which will connect River Ganga, Brahmaputra and other rivers in Bangladesh. It will also allow Indian cruise vessel to ply on Bangladesh water and explore heritage, which I already showed that there are 3 important routes which have been identified. IWI is committed for providing navigational channels for movement of river cruise in national waterways 1, 2 and 16 and IBP route also. As some people must be aware that India is supporting a program along with Bangladesh government of dredging on certain routes also. And IWI will provide other terminal infrastructure for development of this tourism. River cruise, what are the protocol routes, what are the overviews and scope? I am just giving a picture. And as you can see that SOP has already been done and has been issued as early as 2018. The scope has already been discussed, that it is passenger, tourist and cruise tourism. And then applicability, as you are aware that this is as per our Vessels Act and Merchant Shipping Act will be applicable here. And you all will be happy to know that IWI and Government of India, Ministry of Shipping and Ports and Waterways, they are planning to New India Vessel Act 2020 was proposed, and now we are trying to pass it through the Parliament, and that will make life much easier for all the vessel operators on this. And the movement, as I already said, that it has already started, and 2 such movements have already happened in the March 2019. These are the 2 pictures of the vessels which are taken. Bangladesh flagged vessel Madhumati was there, and Indian flag vessel RV Bengal Ganga was there, which took about 56 passengers and 28 passengers. These are luxury cruises which are operational. Next. These are the other thing which we like to have a look at it. MV Mahananda, this operated on 14th May 2019 from Pandu, which is Assam. And this Mahabahu, again another flag from Narayanganj River. which is a VIP jetty. So these are some of the crews and how the vessels are looking, and it is a sector which is definitely looking up. These are some of the World Heritage Sites. As I already told you that Bangladesh and Indo Protocol and all the river cruises, they are geographical, cultural and heritage. Some of the pictures, a very alluring picture you can see of Kaziranga in Assam and Bangladesh 62 Mosque and Sundarban area, Royal Bengal tiger and the greenery. So these are some of the heritage sites which you can just have a look at it. Next. Some of the tourist location in hinterland of IBP route is Sundarban, the houses you can see, and West Bengal, the Sundarban area, and also Lal Bagh Fort of Bangladesh. What I'm trying to say that as we share the rich cultural heritage, there is a lot of scope for this to go on. Now, river cruise tourism, we can also say that it will definitely impact the local community, generate employment. It will also provide local women population in food distribution or food cooking, and also heritage walk and other type of things which can be combined with this. Regional integration, of course, it will be providing, and skill and non-skilled employment, training of local boat operators, hoteliers, restaurant opener. So we feel that this will definitely benefit the local market. Handicrafts also included in that. Handicraft will be there, and after that what we can also see that what are the next. These are the opportunities for all the stakeholders who are participating. What I see that the people are all the time waiting. The opportunity for IWI and BITWA is to provide navigational aid, pilotage and other things. For other people, it is tourism opportunities and untapped potential on this protocol route. Stakeholders are Ministry of Tourism, our ministry, Home Affairs also from both of the sides, immigration and other thing, cruise operators and tourism company. As I already said, that employment opportunities will definitely come once things stabilize. Now, easing of river tourism, there is a need for easing, and this is what some of the aspects I'm trying to put it for the stakeholders who have come here. One is a security issue relating to river cruise tourism, which also takes care of crisis management. Another just 2 minutes. Immigration checks for passengers and crew, that is important between Bangladesh. We are doing it at Hemnagar. Custom clearance without any delay, this is one of the challenges. And health clearances for all foreign tourists which are arriving in India on river cruises, this is another challenge. So the journey begins, as I say, that Maritime India Vision has priorities. In the 3 priorities, prioritizing cargo handling on river waters, urban transport through waterways, and river cruise tourism. And I feel that there is a very opportune moment we are talking. We should not shy away from talking about problems also, and how all of us can contribute in easing out the problems. Since the time was less, I did not talk about the e-initiative which we have taken, which will be also integrating this route very soon. Thank you very much for inviting me here and making me a participant here.
Thank you, madam. Definitely we are going to talk about problems, but more important, we are going to talk about solutions. So I'm glad, rather we are glad to see these developments. You have that agreement signed in sometime in 2018, and by 2019, early 2020, it has been operationalized. I'm not going to compare it with any other initiative, similar initiative, but I have no hesitation in saying that this is a remarkable development. And also, I'm glad that you emphasized on the role of river cruise tourism on employment generation, particularly that of the women folks of our society. Therefore, I think that this is one of the way forward and a major pillar of the way forward for our post-COVID recovery. And that is something, madam, I can assure you, is what we are going to work on as we move along. So from your presentation, it was very clear that not only that the infrastructure is there, of course, the scope for improvement will be there, but infrastructure is there. The regulatory issues have been resolved. Of course, there is scope for, one of your slides you have shown there are certain issues which should be resolved. But more or less, that regulatory infrastructure is in place. Now it is time for us to generate public awareness. And that is the role that private sector will have to do. And for us, civil society organization, we need to see that how beneficial is this for communities. So it's a very interesting, very good combination of various stakeholder groups. But before we hear the private sector, unfortunately, one of our private sector speakers from the private sector, Mrs. Doley, she is unlikely to join because of a bereavement in her family due to COVID. As I said, this is a very testing time, stressful time. We pray for her peace. But other stakeholders are here. But before that, let us first hear from Commodore Golam Sadeq. He is the chairperson of Bangladesh Inland Waterways Transport Authority. And we would be very grateful to you, Commodore Sadeq, that if you can tell us about the developments which are taking place in those 3 particular circuits which have been presented in Mrs. Prasad's presentation. So over to Commodore Sadeq in about 10-15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bipul, for inviting me and giving me floor to talk. And firstly, I express my gratitude to Chairperson IWI, Madam Amita Prasad. It was an excellent presentation, brief but covered very eloquently all the for which we are assembling today. And this is an excellent initiative, I must say, that we, if we talk the private and public sectors together, we can sort out many things. Specifically, tourism, river tourism in this area, the one of the unique delta of the world, Bangladesh. It has a lot of opportunities and to explore the
I guess Mr. Sadeq got some Wi-Fi problem.
Yeah. So let's wait for a couple of minutes maybe and see. So these are the practical issues that we have to keep dealing with while organizing webinars. I mean, we can't help it. In the meanwhile, there is a very interesting proposition from one of our colleagues from Oxfam, Bangladesh. And let me pose it to Mrs. Prasad. But he is saying that if there can be revival of the heritage, non-motorized vehicle vessels for transboundary river tourism under the current bilateral agreement. He's talking about bajra, etc., the traditional longboards for Nauka bike, even kayaking in small haul transboundary rivers, connecting historically important spots in these river routes. And there may be positive ecological impact of such initiatives.
Yeah, that's a very valid point he has raised. And IBP, this Indo-Bangladesh Protocol route, which was started in 2015, and we are looking at all the aspects. 13 port of calls have been on each side have been given now, and most of the river, like smaller rivers are also being covered. So I hope that over the years, slowly our traffic is increasing. Over the years, maybe another 3 to 5 years, things may be definitely improve. It also depends on how much interest the general public takes, because there is no problem of navigation on certain routes here because of the natural flow. So things will definitely improve. Their circuits have been made. There is a lot of interest by the foreign tourists coming here. So, and the sports will not be behind. Slowly it will definitely pick up. Because
So
we are putting
madam.
one by one, the one by one, the protocols are being put in place.
Thank you, madam. And we'll be more than happy to work with you and BIWTA in taking this forward. So going forward, Enam, this is one particular, Enam and Vina, both this is one particular area that we should look into to do some kind of a feasibility study or a case study or series of case studies, combination of case studies, and also identify possible regulatory issues that we need to take into account. And of course, along with infrastructure and how we can have better public awareness. I guess Commodore Sadeq still having some issues with his connectivity. So let me request Mr. Raj Singh, who is from Journey Plus. Mr. Singh.
So, no, I'm Mr. Raj Singh is not from Journey Plus. It's Taufiq Rahman is from Journey Plus.
sorry. Mr. Rahman.
Dear friend.
Yeah. So when dear friends are there, sometimes it's confused. So Mr. Rahman, let me request you for your thoughts, particularly what would be the role of the private sector in expanding the scope of these initiatives, including what are you doing on generating better public awareness. So Mr. Sadeq is joining actually. Mr. Sadeq, Commodore Sadeq. Commodore Sadeq, are you there?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
So Mr. Rahman, I'll come back to you.
Out of connection. I'm very sorry. There was a internet breakdown. I'm very sorry. I will finish very quickly. I'll not waste much time as
No, not at all.
Dr. Amita Prasad has given the overview. As you are requiring that the circles that she was talking about, yes, we are well aware. As I have said at the beginning, that Bangladesh is a unique delta, which is very rare in the world. So a lot of tourists can be attracted. So this is the importance and the opportunity that we have in this sector. Now, if we can, as you have said already, the regulatory side is somehow done, and there is no bar to conduct tourism in the through the river routes. So I wish that the private sector should come up more vigorously. I am sure the COVID situation has barred us from taking any initiative for the time being, but we can take a respite and consolidate and be prepared. The moment the COVID situation improves, and we should start with more marketing initiative, so that people know that there is opportunity and this is more cheaper and attractive. Tourism can be done through this using the rivers of Bangladesh. Not only Bangladesh has a special river-based lifestyle. So maybe the Indian tourist may not be that attracted, but we can attract many of the Western tourists, those who are not very aware of this kind of lifestyle. I'm talking about, for example, the boat, people living in the boat in their whole life. Their lifestyle can be presented. The Bede, which we call in Bangla the Bede community, and also our fishing, the Hilsha fishing. When during the Hilsha season, the Hilsha fishing is a special attraction can be given. And of course, as Madam was showing, the historical or our Sundarbans, and also we have a huge opportunity in the Haor or the lake area, which is in the Sylhet and in our northeastern part. That is also a lot of tourism, internal tourism is happening through the river route. So these are the opportunities. We are aware of the problems that we have, the immigration problem. The jetty facilities are not up to the standard, and also the operators, the staffs of the operators, they are not also well trained or well motivated. So I think if we can sort out publicly and privately with a joint initiative, I'm sure these tourism can be of great help in increasing the river users in any way you say. And on the Bangladesh government side, BIWTA is always there to provide all kinds of supports. And for your information, we are taking up a feasibility study to find out the facilities that are needed for improving the river tourism. I think by this year we will get the study results. Then we will go for a development project, which will take maybe 3 to 4 years. I think with that development project, we can also hope for the best, that we can offer you a better river tourism facility in this arena. Thank you very much, sir. I will be standby to listen to all the speakers, the learned speakers who are available today, and thanking Dr. Amita Prasad. I will take this I will take this moment for as an opportunity to thank you for all support in the India-Bangladesh protocol route that you are providing. And I am receiving your letters of some irritation that is happening. I beg apology. We are trying our best to solve the problems that here we have. And I'm sure that you are aware that we respond quickly, whatever problem here comes. And if we can work together.
I must say you are very good.
Thank you, madam. So if you throw the problems to us, we will try to solve immediately. Although we have a lot of these limitations, despite that, we'll try our best to connect all these 54 rivers, that transboundary rivers that we have with India. Thank you very much, Mr. Bipul, once again, and thanks for patience hearing. Good luck, and I'm praying for all for the COVID protection that we have. The Almighty helps us to be secured from this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commodore Sadeq, particularly for this, not just your presentation, but this is one area I think we can showcase as a happening area for Bharat-Bangladesh ministry. And this, we have to tell this to the world, that of course we have number of problems. We are going to see some of them may increase, some of them may decrease, but at the end of the day, this is the time-tested, robust relationship that we have over the last 50 years. That nobody can take it away from us. Thank you for telling us all these opportunities, and that you are already doing a feasibility study for the development of infrastructure and other facilities to avail those opportunities in future. I would be very keen to go to, for example, in Chatterjee at the peak monsoon season to experience hilsa fishing in those small boats and without life jacket. So on that note, let me now request Mr. Taufiq Rahman from Journey Plus, he's the head of Journey Plus, about the role of the private sector in particular in taking these initiatives forward. What kind of infrastructure that on your part you are developing for vessels, operations and things like that? What kind of public awareness that you are generating? So that is something. So we know that the infrastructure is there, infrastructure is being developed, regulatory infrastructure is there. Of course, there are certain pieces, they are being ironed out, but it is now time for the private sector to come forward and take these opportunities forward. So what do you say? In about 10 minutes, sir?
Yeah, thank you very, very much. Ramzanul Mubarak, and very good morning from Bangladesh. It's my great honor and pleasure to see the Honorable Chairperson of IWTA, BIWTA, my senior colleague, friend, Mr. Singh, and also other panelists, distinguished guests. Assalamu alaikum. Firstly, I'm congratulating you for organizing such an event. I still remember that I attended a seminar in Calcutta back in, I think, 2000, 2 or 3 years before. And we also spoke the same topic. But the thing is, the COVID actually destroyed like other sectors, but the tourism sector is worstly affected. I'm sure that my friend Mr. Singh also agree. And in that regard, the only solution is for survival of the tourism is short-haul tourism or regional tourism, or to some extent cross-border tourism. And you rightly pointed out that cross-border tourism is at this moment the only solution for our survival. Okay. I am actually closely observing and monitoring these cross-border river cruise issues. I still remember back in 2006 or 7, I actually wrote my first letter to BIWTA, the shipping ministry, my tourism ministry, and other ministry, that there is a possibility between India and Bangladesh river tourism. But unfortunately, in that time, we didn't have we had a protocol, but the passenger was not included, So we tried to bring 1 or 2 ships from India to Bangladesh for a test basis, but unfortunately, because we didn't have a protocol signed for passengers, so we couldn't do it. I'm very happy that at last the Bangladesh government and Indian government has signed this MOU, and already I think three venture already, successfully done. I think one is from the BIWT. They sent one cruise vessel to India, and also my friend Mr. Singh also brought one, and there is another one. So far I remember the 3 cruise has been done. But unfortunately, no, we had some program with Mr. Singh knows it very well, to do some of the cruise in between Bangladesh and India, but because of the COVID issues, everything has been stopped. I don't know when we can resume our operation, but hope for the best. But what I find, regarding the port of call, okay, fine. At this moment, because the initiative has been started only, so that you have pointed out, I think 13 port of call, where a vessel can anchor, vessel can stop, and the passengers can get out from the vessel and do some of the shore excursion. But one thing we all should remember, that these type of river cruise, or we can say is an expedition cruise, is not only based on the boat itself or the ship itself, or the facilities inside the ship, because people wanted to experience, the shore excursion. People wanted to see the local community. People wanted to see the local activities, want to participate some of the activities, in this regard, we it is very I'm not talking about the Indian side, I'm talking about the Bangladesh side. If I consider it from for example, from Guwahati to Dhubri, and then it entered to Bangladesh through Chilmari border, from Chilmari until Dhaka, and from Dhaka until Angtiara. We should organize some of the activities. That is still not lacking. We have some of the places like that, but unfortunately, the spots is not so nearer with the river route. For example, in this type of operation, what is very much needed, for my experience, that we should have more product, more river product, rather than the boat in itself, and we should have some activities, because you cruise for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and at the end, it becomes so boring. So people wanted to get out. People wanted to do some of the shore excursion, to see some of the bazaar, some of the palaces, walk a little bit, So in that regard, I'm requesting both the chairperson of IWT and BIWTO to organize some of the product. For example, we can organize some of the maritime sports, some of the maritime sports we can organize in the both sides. We can organize some joint activities, water sports items. We can also think about to establish a maritime museum, from either from both sides or from any of the sides. And in Bangladesh, we have a opportunity to see the whale and dolphin. It's called the Swatch of No Ground, but unfortunately, it's still there, but no organized vessels or ships organizes some of the trips, and I've seen one comment of Mr. I think Enamul Majid Khan, who is talking about some activities like boat race, kayaking, and so on. So it can be organized. It can be included in one of our itinerary, but I am requesting the government authority who is present over here to think about to organize some of the product and activities which we can incorporate in our itinerary. Okay, now I'm coming to the community benefit. Of course, I mean, if we have this type of river cruise or any type of cruise, the community is actually the beneficiary, So I'm still remember that I did 2 ocean cruise in Bangladesh for the first time in Bangladesh history back in 2017 and 2019. So I brought the Silver Discoverer, Silver Sea cruise to Bangladesh, and they have included Sundarban, Mohishkali, and St. Martin Islands on their cruise. And my experience is that whenever we have this type of operation, the local community is benefited. I still remember in 2019, we brought all the passengers to Mohishkali Island, and within 4 hours, the tourists bought almost Bangladeshi taka, 5 lakhs taka within 4 hours from the local vendors, for the local communities. I mean, they are selling some shirts, some bed sheets, some, ladies kurtas or something like this, So in that regards, the local community is very much benefiting, and they're very much interested also to be a part of this project. So I'm requesting everybody, the government and the private sector also, to look after. I have heard from our honorable chairman of BIWT, and he was talking about to involve some of the river communities, like we have a fisherman, we have a water gypsies, and also in both of the side we have some river hearts, river bazaars, and that is actually more interesting to be a part of our itinerary. And I very much agree with Commodore Sadeq said that we still have some problem with organizing jetties or berthing or fenders or navigable route or something like this. That can be sorted out for by the government authorities. But I'll finish with my presentation with a issue which is very much related. That is the visa issue. Visa issue is one of the very important issues, and from these river cruise opportunities, I'm sure that from the both side we should we should implement actually the honorable visa policy, honorable visas. Because if you still remember, whenever we go to visit some of the international cruise, like if you go to Singapore or Malaysia to have a star cruise or some other cruises, so they actually offer the onboard immigration or onboard customs and also honorable visa at boat. I still remember in my Silver Discoverer tour, the Bangladesh government kindly extended their cooperation by issuing the onboard immigration and onboard visas. But the thing is, we have to amend a little bit about, I'm talking about the Bangladesh side, I don't know about Indian side. The Bangladesh side is we have a visa policy, honorable visa policy, and at this moment 67 nationals are getting arrival visa at Dhaka airport. Also, it is applicable in land port. So if the Home Minister of Bangladesh can amend a little bit our visa policy and include river or sea with the existing visa policy, then I'm sure that all our problems will be solved. Because we are not talking about the Indian people, tourists are coming to Bangladesh, or Bangladesh tourists are going to India. But apart from this, a huge number of international tourists, those who have an interest about the river cruise, they also might come and to take boat, and also it would be very interesting to have a cruise from Guwahati to Dhaka and Dhaka to Calcutta by observing both the Sundarban parts and so on. So I am requesting the government officials who have presented over here to see the visa policies, and if you can input river on these our visa policies, I think all our problem will be solved. Okay. I think I have raised some of these. Okay, security. There's another issue is the security. Security, I don't know about India, but in Bangladesh part, we are never facing any problem with the security issue, especially for the tourist purposes, you know, because our government, also all the districts, administrative officers or administration are providing a good number of securities. We have a tourist policy, so we don't have any problem with the securities, but whenever we need, we can organize some of the security issues from our government side. That is not the problem. I think that's all from my side. I'm sure that my friend Mr. Raj Singh will speak more about the operations that he has faced, some of the problem in Bangladesh side. But I see these cruise opportunities a very prospective one. And in future, you know, because it's Bangladesh is a riverine country, Bangladesh is a river of thousand rivers. So I'm sure that if we can look after some of the small minor issues to be solved, then this river cruise or river opportunities, river cruise opportunities will be booming, and also the Bangladesh and India can benefit from a monetary issue or foreign exchange earning issues a lot. So I'm requesting all the government side and the private side to look after our issues, and I'm sure in future that would be our main source of income. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Bipul.
Thank you, Mr. Rahman. Before I come to Mr. Singh, there's a very, I would say, positive thinking on the part of Commodore Sadeq, and he has written to the chat box that private sector should come forward with ideas and equipments, means solutions. Government will facilitate the services. It is time for doing vigorous marketing. And also he said that unless we conduct tours, the loose ends cannot be identified and sorted out. This is as simple and as important as that. On that note, let me also add that for every problem, there is a solution. There must be a solution. That solution may be there, solution may be in some other country. So we have to look for solutions, adapt and adopt them. So we are glad that Mr. Rahman has talked about all these possibilities. It's not just rivers, it's rivers plus. And from Mr. Rahman's presentation, it is evident that along with river cruise tourism, if we can make it river plus through multimodal means, then sky is the limit. Of course, there will be issues. And as we move along, we're going to resolve those issues. I'm not at all suggesting that we should start doing everything together. We have to take one step at a time. Visa issues, for example, that can be resolved without much of a problem once it is taken up by both IWAI and DIWPA with the respective relevant agencies in respective countries. So on that positive note, let me now request Mr. Raj Singh for his thoughts. He's the Director of Heritage River Cruises Private Limited. So Mr. Singh, after hearing Mrs. Prasad, Commodore Sadeq and Mr. Rahman, what is your thinking? How private sector, what will be the roles and responsibilities of the private sector for taking forward this initiative?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Okay. The thing is that, first of all, I would like to say in 2019, with the assistance of the Government of India, IWAI, as well as the Bangladesh Inland Waterways Authority, we were able to actually operate the first ever river cruise from Calcutta to Dhaka. And so I would like to thank the Honorable Chairperson, IWAI, as well as the Honorable Chairperson from Bangladesh Inland Water Transport. And that was quite a challenging aspect for us because that's where we were laying the groundwork. There were challenges, but I think the challenges were overcome and we had the full response from the government of India and from the government of Bangladesh. The thing is that when we cruised through Bangladesh, the important thing was that we actually visited the places which are not on the tourist circuit. We stopped at places like Mongla. We stopped at a place like Kaukali. Now, Kaukali is a small place, it's a small town there. And we were able to visit the villages there. And it was a potter's village. So basically, and then of course, from there, we went to Borisal. And Borisal, again, we visited the interesting places, including the floating market. And of course, the Chandpur, famous for its hilsa. Can you see me, please? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
So, and then of course, to Dhaka. The important thing is to keep in mind is that all the places where we visited, it was phenomenal, the response we received from the locals who were there, whether they were villagers and anywhere else. So my take is that river cruise tourism actually connects the places which are not on the main tourist circuit and makes the people aware and visit them. Also for the locals, it was a kind of an eye-opener that they saw all these people who were coming. There were foreigners, there were Indian tourists, there were journalists. So it was a mixture that we were able to go to these villages, to these monuments. And of course, going to all these monuments and villages, what happens is that it does, once people start going there, it does come into, it does get the importance. And even the governments, the local organizations, they take note, oh, besides the 60 dome mosque, there are other mosques there as well, which are fabulous. So if you go around all those areas and explore those areas, there are interesting things which are there besides the main monuments. And so that was kind of interesting to be involved and see the local community there being interested. While in Mogla, of course, we were actually arranged for the local folk dancers who actually came from nearby Sundarbans with their craft, with their some kind of handicrafts and all. And that something was very interesting because whatever they had brought as bags and other things made of local handicrafts was actually bought by the tourists without any hesitation. So basically it's the exposure which the river cruise tourism will give to these communities, these areas which are again not on the main tourist circuit. Mind you, the second thing which is important is that these areas are not easily accessible by road. And if you go by the road, it may take hours and hours, but by boat you are along the river and you can just visit it. So of course, what you're doing is that you are actually sort of avoiding the long drives, making the journey more comfortable, exposing these areas. So that's one of the reasons why I feel that river cruise tourism is very, very important for these local communities and societies along the rivers, which are not easily accessible by road and which are not the main tourist attractions, but nonetheless, they are interesting in their own way. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of the river cruise tourism is that, of course, as I speak, we have been rated among the 6 best river cruise operators in the world. And so all our staff is actually well trained. We have to train them. If we do not train them, we will not be able to operate internationally or nationally because we will not be able to follow the norms. So all our crews are well adapted, they're well trained. So it's from that angle. The second thing is that after our cruise to Bangladesh, what happened was that we thought, wow, this is a great area. This is a great way to see both the Delta area as well as the other areas of Bangladesh where you go up north, on the Jamuna River, north of Dhaka. And so we actually have a ship which is dedicated for operating on this route. And that ship is actually almost ready. Because of the COVID situations, we have not launched it. But what we have done is that the moment the situation becomes, the earliest we will be able to launch that would be in September 2022 with the present sort of situations. This winter, I don't know, it's highly unlikely that we'll have the people ready to travel internationally and nationally for long cruises. Of course, we have successfully done cruises to the border of Bangladesh from Calcutta, which is about 3 nights, 4 days. And we can actually extend that into Sundarbans in Bangladesh for the domestic tourists as well. So that is something of a thought process which we are really, really thinking. And that could start on one of our existing ships from October onwards this year. So we are thinking about the future, how to promote river cruise tourism into these areas. The important thing again is to keep in mind that from next year, when we start operating our new cruise ship, the Ganga Vilas, it is going to operate all the way from Prayagraj, which is in Uttar Pradesh, coming all the way to Calcutta through Bangladesh, and it will go all the way up to not only Guwahati, but up to Majholi Island. So it would be one of the longest river cruise journeys in the world, and for a journey of almost 52 days. And that will connect all the river communities, not only in the Bangladesh, but also in India, small places which are not visited. And we are going to be operating this cruise on a regular basis from September onwards till almost April, May. And the thing is that we are already working, though these are difficult times, but we are in touch with our domestic partners within India. We are also in touch with our international partners. And our international partners have really, really shown a lot of interest in the long cruises. And of course, whether it's from Europe or from America, we already have definite bookings for 2022 September onwards, which I am going to actually, once the situation stabilizes, ask my friend and associate, Mr. Rahman, to update him on these developments. So we are thinking ahead. We are taking all the necessary measures that as soon as things stabilize, we move forward. That's one aspect. Nonetheless, one of the other things is that when it comes to traveling in Bangladesh, and of course, the Honorable Chairman has said that they are looking at building jetties and all, but it'll be important that when we start operations, that they do have some kind of jetties for us, where people can get off and on. My other suggestion to him, which is very, very important, I feel, is that all our ships are sustainable. And that's very, very important for us as we follow international norms. So we have on all our ships STP plants. We have water filtration plants. We have got oil separators. We have got noise reducing silencers. So my request to the Honorable Chairman of Bangladesh Inland Water is that these jetties where they are, which they are kind of building or plan to build or have that, please arrange shore supply on those areas. Getting the shore supply means that we will not be using our generators when the ship is there along the jetty. It will make it pollution-free, noise-free on those areas. And that's, I think, is very important to keep in mind. So basically, all these jetties which need to be developed need to have that as a basic requirement. It also needs to have a basic requirement where we can dispose of our waste, which can be taken for recycling. So these are some of the things which are important from sustainable river cruising point of view. So we have to keep these things in mind while we develop river cruise tourism. My other request and my other suggestion to the Honorable Chairperson from Bangladesh is that while we are on the Indo-Bangladesh protocol route, and there are dedicated areas which are there. But for example, what happens is, like in Borisal, when we were there, there's a wonderful floating market. Now that floating market keeps on rotating at different places. And from Borisal, it takes us almost sometimes 2 hours to reach the place, to see this thing. That means it's a morning thing, market. So you have to start early in the morning, 2 hours drive and 2 hours driving back because of the local road conditions. And these are narrow country roads. We can actually take our ship into one of these side rivers where it's navigable. And from there, it's very easy. It takes us only by the local country boat. It'll take us only about half an hour, which we have to take anyway. So basically, to have that flexibility, to see these places with that ship being taken out to some of these rivers, which are navigable, because we saw some of the other ships operating those areas. And I did request, saying, oh, can we please take our ship? So we will be not able to drive these long distances, but because it was not part of the protocol route, we could not do it. So this flexibility, wherever it is needed, should be given to us for promoting these areas. Like the Honorable Chairperson has said that, to promote how people live on the boats, how the gypsies of the rivers. Yes, they are wonderful, and we would love to incorporate that in our cruises and make stops. And of course, also to visit places like the Chars, where the islands, which have their own lifestyle. So we are all going to incorporate that, because our cruise through Bangladesh, from all the way from Hemnagar till we exit in Bangladesh, is going to be almost 14 to 16 days. So it's a long time. So we are going to be stopping at places like which have these elements to have the people expose them. So there is a lot of potential, and to actually to promote river cruise tourism in India and Bangladesh. And there will be a lot of direct benefits. Of course, employment is there, but also the monuments, many of them which are not well maintained, will be maintained. There will be, of course, besides the local employment, there will be crafts which are not directly being promoted, will be promoted. And the most important thing is that we go to some villages which are weavers' villages, and where you can see the weavers actually doing the weaving. There are certain, and from there you can just see how not only they weave, they can interact with the tourists. And that's what something which makes them really, the weavers, very proud that there's someone who appreciates that. It's not like the saris or other materials just being bought and sold somewhere else. The people see them, appreciate, they ask questions. And of course, also, people are able to buy them directly. So basically, it will help also these villagers where they do these special crafts like weaving. There are certain areas where there are potters, and there are other sort of crafts also which we saw. And that would be very, very important also. So having this flexibility sometimes to sail an hour or half an hour to see a site, to participate in a market would be interesting. So these are some of my thought processes. And of course, as my friend and associate, Mr. Rahman, has said, of course, visa on arrival for river cruising is something which the government of Bangladesh can very easily do, because they're giving to the ships, they give to the ships, they're giving at the airport, they're giving the land borders. And this will help, of course, for international tourism, because many of our, besides the Indians, many of our tourists are also overseas tourists. So some things like that, which would be important, would be there. I hope I've not overcome or something like that, sir.
Sorry?
Have I overshot my time? I don't know.
No, slightly, but I think you have explained it very well.
Well, thank you
So
so
if you
much.
can conclude, sir.
My one other request is that, of course, from our Indian side is to have an immigrations and customs immigrations also at Hemnagar, because presently we have to do immigrations at Calcutta, and that is kind of a mismatch. So perhaps by next year, if that can be streamlined, that would be really, really good and make things easier for us to operate cruises on a regular basis. Thank you so much. I hope this is helpful for my insight, my thought process from my journey itself into Bangladesh.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. This is more than helpful, I would say. All these possibilities that you talked about, from Prayagraj to Majuli, via not just the both sides of Sundarbans, but there are a number of, it's difficult to count actually, number of places where you can stop, take small boats, road connections to visit so many monuments, so many other places of attraction, Rivers Village, Potter's Village, as you talked about. Everything taken together actually is going to increase the livelihood of local population, of local communities. It's not just your business, it's not just your profit. Of course, they are important, but you are going to do it in a sustainable manner. And not just sustainability in terms of ecological sustainability in terms of local economics, in terms of equity in the society. So that's great. So I'm very excited. From Prayagraj, you bypass Farakka, you come to Navadvip, the place of Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya. On the other side, you have Pandua, Mayapur on the other side. From there, you come to another Sangam, Triveni, another holy place. Next to that is Pendle Church, the oldest church in our subcontinent. From there, you cross a number of old European colonies, Chinsura, Dutch colony, Chandannagar, French colony, Srirampur, Danish colony. On the other side, you have Barakpur, Mangal Pandey Park, where you will see the museum there, where you'll see all those things, 1857, our first war of independence, not just Sepoy Mutiny, our first war of independence. From there, you go to Dakshineshwar. On the other side, you have Belur Mott. Then you cross Calcutta. West Bengal is not just about Calcutta. It's a district. And then from there, you go to Sundarbans, cross Sundarban, go to Bangladesh. Across Bangladesh, you talked about Barishal, you talked about Kaukhali, you talked about Dhaka, Rajganj. From there, you will see the Charlai, Chilmari, you enter Assam through Dhubri, you pass Guwahati and go up to Majuli. I don't know if it is possible to go up to Sadia. So that would be another thing. You will see the tea gardens in Upper Assam in that case. So on that note, let me now come to Biswajit. I will come to you later. You will be the last speaker. And then after that, I'll ask Enam. But let me now request Mr. Kashyap, who is a very senior journalist, over 4 decades of experience, based in Guwahati in Assam. Currently, he is the State Information Commissioner of Assam. After hearing all this, Mr. Kashyap, what is your thinking about the role of media in particular, and also the role of state governments, local bodies? We have to take a whole of government approach, whole of stakeholders approach, not just government, to keep having incremental progress, not just for tourism, but for generating local employment opportunities, income opportunities for local communities. So we are glad that you have joined us, given your busy schedule. And let's hear your thoughts in about 10-12 minutes. Sir. Over to you, Mr. Kashyap.
Bipul sir, I think Mr. Kashyap has got some problem with internet and he's not online at the moment.
Okay, in that case, I would request my good and old friend, Biswajit Chakrabarty, who is heading FICI's Northeast Council. So Biswajit, your thoughts on the same issue. How can we have better visibility, identification of possibilities, role of private sector, role of media, role of state governments? So your thoughts, Biswajit, in 10-15 minutes, maybe?
Thank you, Bipul. I think it's an onerous task speaking after such knowledgeable speakers. Nevertheless, I was involved in one of the first long-distance river cruise projects in the country, way back in 2000, 2001, when Assam Bengal Navigation started its river cruise. And from that point onwards, I have been a fan of river tourism, and I very strongly believe that this is the kind of tourism that we want in this part of the world. Northeast India, Bangladesh, this sub-region, Northeast India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, even Myanmar, I think one of our biggest assets is our natural capital, the biodiversity that we have. While this is a great asset and we should harness this, we must be very mindful of how we utilize this. We should not spoil it in the process. And therefore, we cannot have mindless mass tourism in this part of the world. Therefore, river tourism is actually a niche tourism, which is high-end in by its very definition, which brings in a lot of foreign tourists from the West and other high-paying markets. I think this is the kind of tourism which we definitely need. Having said that, the river tourism, I think in Northeast India as well as in Bangladesh, is still in its infancy. If we look at other more developed markets, we are getting some foreign tourists. There are few operators. Mr. Raj Singh, we have Mr. Raj Singh with us. There are a few other operators. We know that 3 cruises have already been done through Bangladesh and all. Within India, we see some foreign tourists coming in. The current operators, they're generally doing well as far as inflow of foreign tourists are concerned, the COVID period being an exception. But I think the potential is much bigger. For one, till now, most of the cruise operators have been focusing on high-paying foreign tourists. The greater focus has been on the foreign tourists. But we also have a domestic market, which may not be as high-paying as the foreign tourists, but which is a market nevertheless. But until and unless we are able to saturate the market of foreign tourists who are willing to pay more, we're obviously not going to go into the domestic market. But I think that is another area which we need to look at, and the kind of services that will be required for that. I think that is very important. As far as transboundary tourism through rivers is concerned, India and Bangladesh share 54 transboundary rivers, out of which, as far as river tourism is concerned, we are currently focusing on only one, the protocol route. There are many other possibilities. This is a long distance cruise. Why can't we also have short distance? For example, the Umgat River in the Meghalaya-Bangladesh border, crystal clear water where you can actually see the bottom of the river. A lot of domestic tourists actually go there. A lot of foreign tourists also go there. But then they're restricted to the Indian side if they're going from the Indian side, and vice versa the Bangladesh side if they come from the Bangladesh side. Why can't we have movement of tourists from India to Bangladesh and Bangladesh to India through the Umgat River, for example, or through the Barak River, or through or in Tripura? I think these are things which we need to explore, and here the private sector has to play the most important role. Today we have this understanding between India and Bangladesh to allow river cruises only because some pioneers like Mr. Raj Singh, Gupta and others thought of river cruises sometime back, and Mr. Taufiq Rahman in Bangladesh thought of river cruises, and river cruising actually started in Bangladesh and India, and we saw the potential. That's why the governments got talking, and this happened. So even for the other 50 other rivers which connect us, I think it's the private sector which has to take the initiative. We have to bring in smaller cruise vessels for short distance cruises, and then the government has to come in and facilitate this. This brings me to another suggestion which I had in mind. I think there was a reference made to visas, on arrival, honorable visa, etc. Why can't we at least start thinking in terms of a visa regime between India, Bangladesh, possibly Bhutan, Nepal, where for foreign tourists, or at least tourists coming from specific markets, we issue visas which are similar to the Schengen visa, which Europe issues. Or, for example, the Indian visa is respected by the Bangladeshi side, or the Bangladeshi visa is respected by the Indian side. If we can get into that kind of a regime, I think it will be very helpful. It will help us bring in more tourists from across the world, because while for us it may not be a difficult proposition, but the mindset in the West, people think the red tape in our countries, getting visas, etc., is difficult. They don't want to go through the requiring multiple visas, etc., and that is a bottleneck. So I think we need to address this. Third is, I think tourism, by its why tourism is preferred as a tool for the economic development, is that the trickle-down effect of tourism is very high. And the people in the community actually get benefited from tourism. River tourism is no exception. However, when we think too much in terms of high-end river tourism and niche tourism, etc., sometimes, at times, the communities that are involved do not get benefited to the extent that is desirable. I think it's very important to ensure that this does not happen. I think it is time we think of, when we look at the rivers particularly, we think of integrated river development in terms of a basin development project or something like that, where both countries cooperate and work together. Here, the private sector also could come in by establishing joint venture companies in Bangladesh, instead of just simple cooperation between two companies, which could work on integrated development of the river, not just in the form of cruises, because today we have few cruises, we do not have a problem. But let's take a situation 20 years from now. For example, if we have hundreds of river cruises going across the borders and moving from Bangladesh to India and India to Bangladesh, etc., we might have a situation where a large number of affluent foreign tourists are coming in, spending a lot of money on the cruises, on tourism, and the local population not getting benefited to the extent required, and there could arise a situation of conflict. I think for this to be sustainable, we need to ensure that the communities are benefited, and I strongly feel that we need to take a basin development. Then coming to you see river cruises in the. I come from the Northeast, so I'm giving my examples with reference to the Northeast. You see, in Northeast, the phase of modern economic development started with the British. And this entire economic development process happened through the rivers. Starting from the oil industry to the tea industry in Assam, everything happened through the rivers. Material was brought in through the rivers, exports were made through the rivers, and we had a huge network of river vessels plying. But post 1965, we lost that. We are now trying to make some new. And here, I think the government alone cannot do it. The private sector has to come in. And as of now, apart from few visionaries like Mr. Raj Singh here and others, Mr. Rahman, not many private sector operators have actually come into river transportation, which includes river tourism, goods transportation, etc. To bring them in, I think we need some policy initiatives from the government in the form of incentives for building vessels, incentives for running cruises in the rivers. In the Northeast, we have a number of incentives which are given by the Government of India. A 30% capital investment subsidy is allowed by Government of India for building factories, etc. Why can't we extend the benefit of this capital investment building of river vessels? If someone is building a river vessel, he should be eligible to get a 30% investment subsidy. Or for setting up a private port facility or something like that. So I think that's another area where we need to look at how to bring in more private sector operators, more private funding into development of river transportation and river facilities. Fourthly, I'd like to highlight something which the COVID situation has brought to fore. You see, the COVID situation, which started last year, we thought it's going to end this year. It has not ended, and probably will go on for some time. But one lasting impact that this COVID situation is going to have on people's mindset, on our lifestyle, is that people are going to be more health conscious. A vast majority of people, I understand, who come for river cruises are people who have retired, or people who have attained a certain station in life, who are not so very young. And these people, while they have money, many of them would be mindful of the health risks. I think it's very important that we start now and think about providing adequate medical facilities for river tourists, which basic facilities could be in the vessels itself. But our respective countries, Bangladesh and India, also need to put in facilities, possibly some facility of a floating clinic or floating hospitals or something like that, which could handle emergencies during river cruises. I think it's very, very important. We need to look at this. Also, we need to look at medical insurance, because as of now, medical insurances brought abroad, many of those insurances do not cover more than one country. Insurances bought in India also have some limitations. I think we need to work out a system where insurance companies from India and Bangladesh. This is also important for the motor vehicle agreement. I'm digressing a little bit, because I think that's one of the major problems we are facing there. That insurance, motor vehicle insurances issued in India are not honored in Bangladesh and vice versa. I think that is something we need to look at. I'm not sure about the situation about vessel insurance, whether vessels in India are the insurance is valid in Bangladesh, vice versa. I think that's something we need to look at. I think that's it. Thank you so much, Bipul, for the time, and I'll be always available if there are any further queries.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Biswajit. On your last point, I think we have to identify these specific things, like as you said, vessel insurance. And we have to have a comprehensive mutual recognition agreement. I mean, the usual language will be there, and then you put it as an annexure. These are the things which are being included in this agreement. It's easier said than done, but it's not insurmountable. I mean, it can be done, and there are many countries who have done it. So, as I said before, for every problem there is a solution somewhere in the world. You have to identify that and adopt and adapt. That's how Singapore developed. Lee Kuan Yew, this is one thing which he kept on saying, that you don't have to invent or reinvent the wheel. Some solution is there somewhere in the world. You have to find it out. In those days, without internet, it was much more challenging than what it is today. Anyway, so we have Mr. Kashyap, the State Information Commissioner of Assam, a very senior journalist, more than 4 decades of experience. He has been writing on many of these issues. So I would request Mr. Kashyap to tell us about, in about 10-15 minutes, about your thinking on this subject, particularly on how we can get more and more private sector into it, and what would be the role of the media and state governments in facilitating initiatives like this. So over to you, Mr. Kashyap. Yeah, please.
Am I audible now? Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Very, very good morning to all of you. And there are several familiar faces as we talk. It's very interesting that in the very beginning itself, the chairperson of the Indian Inland Waterways Authority of India, she had outlined the whole concept and the whole, particularly government efforts to it. And then my previous speaker, he had spoken about the practical problems that are currently or say has been prevalent in the last few years. It's a fact that particularly the northeast of India, Assam and Bengal, be it West Bengal or when you talk of Bengal from the Assam point of view, look at the undivided old Bengal of pre-partition days. The entire connection, the entire connectivity, entire link, entire relationship was through the river or through the rivers, for instance, the large river network, be it the Brahmaputra or the Barak or the Kushiara and others. And as it has been already pointed out, till 1965, this was the most important and the most effective mode of communication to the Northeast. Even in the recent times, even before the last addendum to the protocol has been assigned, heavy machineries to the construction of the Numalika refinery in Assam were brought to waterways, and even at the moment, heavy machineries and over-dimensional consignments to the lower Subansari hydroelectric power project on the Assam-Arunachal border. These are being transported into Assam from mainland India, if I can use the word mainland India, through Bangladesh and through the trans-border river system. Likewise, if you look at it during the time when the Guwahati, Lamding, Badarpur railway section was under construction, by abandoning the meter gauge, old 100-year-old meter gauge, and the new broad gauge was being set up. At that time, Tripura particularly had suffered a lot because Tripura, a landlocked state surrounded by Bangladesh on three sides, used to depend on the entire supply of food grains and other materials through Assam by this lone railway track. At that time, it was through the waterways, through from Visakhapatnam or from Kolkata, through Bangladesh, that food grains were transported into Tripura. So these instances we have, and as has been already pointed out, that the transborder cruise, the passenger cruise, has been already tested on these rivers. As we said, the water has been tested rather to be perfect on that line. Mr. Taufiq Rahman has already outlined that aspect, and he's a partner to this entire cross-border or trans-border cruise movement efforts that have been made with his partners in India, be it particularly in Guwahati, the Assam Bengal Navigation Company and others. And Mr. Raj Singh has also pointed this out. Now, yes, we are passing through a difficult time that at this moment things are in a total standstill because of situation. But then, though this pandemic is not going to last longer, let us hope so. I think this is the time we prepare for the future, for let's say next 6 months or 8 months, or maybe from to 2022 or 2023, that things will improve, things will brighten up, and that we prepare the communities in the meantime on one and create more stakeholders, particularly in the rural areas. Like as Mr. Raj Singh had pointed out, that most of these destinations, particularly in the Bangladesh sector, are new as far as tourism is concerned on the riverside, on the river route. But if you look at Assam per se, almost every important tourist destination in Assam, right from Dhubri as you enter India from Bangladesh up to Dibrugarh and beyond, almost all the important tourist destinations are on the river. Dhubri, you have it there. You have Gauripur, that Pramod Barua's hometown. A lot of historic things are there. You have Fualkuchi, just short of Guwahati, the largest silk village, which is a major tourist attraction. Then you get Guwahati with the Kamakya temple and others. Immediately after Guwahati, you get the Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary, the largest concentration of one-horned rhinoceros. And as you sail up the Brahmaputra, Tejpur, again a historic town, Kaziranga, you approach from the river. Vishwanath, the tea and the temples you approach from the river. Majuli, the great heritage island on the Brahmaputra, again is approachable and is connected by river. And then you get up to Dibrugarh and beyond. So this entire route needs to be, I think, prepared now, because the stakeholders, the villagers, the local communities, they need to be made partners of this entire plan, so that they become the direct beneficiaries, and in the process they constitute the entire security system, the social security system that is required to run these kind of vessels, high-priced vessels, high-end tourists coming from outside. Some of you may be aware that the majority of the people, the clients of the existing river cruise within Assam on the Brahmaputra between Dhubri and Dibrugarh are mostly clients from UK, from England and Europe. So these are high-end users, and alongside, I think we also need to develop domestic tourists who would be not be able to maybe probably pay that much of money which European tourists would pay, but then we create a category of Indian tourists, domestic tourists, and so also probably tourists in Bangladesh who would be economically of the same range of that in Assam or in the rest of India. And then what do we have in store for the domestic tourists? So we need to probably also generate a interest in them to use the river, not just for crossing from this side to the other or taking around Guwahati or Dhubri like a picnic, but then traveling along the river 4 days, 5 days, 6 nights, 7 nights, and so on. And this becomes a new area where people can come and enjoy, because Kashmir, the people who had enjoyed Kashmir, the people who had gone to Tawang, people who had gone to Darjeeling, these are the categories of people who need to be converted into travelers on the river, tourists on the rivers, and also market these routes that way. So I think we need to also put, as Mr. Chatterjee has spoken about the role of media here. I think we need to create a partnership with the media, and also create probably a new generation of travel writers, and also include our travel writers across the country or across both countries, who would be telling the stories of the Brahmaputra and this entire system into Bangladesh, the cross-border rivers. That what are the stories around there which need to be explored? What are the possibilities that need to be explored? What are the new things that a new traveler would be able to see? So I think these are some of the areas that come to my mind immediately. But the government, yes, very, very important. Like, as we are talking about the trans-border river tourism and river cruise, if you look at the trans-border tourism per se, the Guwahati-Dhaka flight, for instance, it failed, or it has been suspended after a few runs. The Guwahati, Shillong, Dauki, Dhaka bus route, again, was experimented successfully, but there are small hitches there. We need a bridge somewhere near Dhaka which can take on the luxury bus. Those are small things which need to be addressed, should have been addressed by now. But the government, here comes the role of the government, where the decision makers and also the elected members of the states on the Indian side, they need to be talking about these issues so that these concepts become popular. And why would people from Bangladesh come to see Assam? Why would people from mainland India like to travel from Patna to Calcutta through the Sundarbans up to Dhaka and then into Dibrugarh, Guwahati, and Kaziranga? So these are things I think need to discuss more and more in the public domain. These are the things I immediately had in mind.
Thank you, sir. You reminded me about one simple thing, that I think there is no greater joy than having a swim on a river on a hot afternoon in the month of Vaishakh or this month.
But Brahmaputra is risky, sir. Brahmaputra is risky.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have heard all of you. I think this webinar, as part of our work under the PROSA program, the idea of this webinar was to understand, first to generate knowledge about these initiatives and understand the ideas, not just on big rivers like Brahmaputra or Ganga, but on, as Mr. Kashyap has rightly pointed, and many others, that including Biswajit, that there are a number of small rivers, small in the sense that in terms of their length, depth, etc. But they are also transboundary, right? And now it is time to expand this kind of initiatives by involving regulatory agencies like IWAI, DIWTA, private sector, not just the big vessel operators, but also small vessel operators. Number of activities, related activities we can think of. So what we are going to do is that, other than involving media, of course, we're going to write a series of articles. We're going to come out with a series of case studies. We have to list down these ideas. As soon as the situation permits, we're going to have a physical meeting in Guwahati once the COVID is under control. And in that meeting, public-private dialogue, we are going to list down all these ideas and all these little problems and solutions. Not just problems, but problem with solutions. And then present them to the respective authorities. In case India's case, IWAI, in Bangladesh's case, in DIWTA. So, as I said before, the sky is the limit on a subject like this. At the same time, we have to keep in mind that we cannot do everything at a time, at one go. So we have to take small steps. For example, this Barak River could be the next one, which you could look at. There are a number of others. I can go on. There are 54 transboundary rivers. You have beautiful names: Jal Dhaka, Raidha, Punarbhava, Atrei, Mahananda. And all this, I mean, as I know, I lived my initial life right on the bank of a river, Ganga, within 50 meters of the river. So river changes from season to season. From morning to evening to night, river changes. And you can feel that. You can hear those sounds of the river. When it is high tide, when it is low tide, you have to understand all these things. So on that note, since Mrs. Doley is unable to join us, I would like to give the floor back to Dr. Amita Prasad. And we are glad and we are very grateful that not only she, but many of our colleagues, senior colleagues, who have not just participated in this webinar, but stayed throughout to hear us, all of us, about these ideas, this knowledge, these ideas, possible problems, possible solutions. So we would like to hear from you, madam. I mean, what is your thinking, IWAI's thinking, in taking these initiatives forward? So I request you for your thoughts on this matter. Then I'll come to my friend and colleague Enamul from Bangladesh for his final remarks. Over to you, madam.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad that a lot of my officers have also participated, given the opportunity by you all. A lot of issues have been raised. I'll take one by one. First one is the regulatory. I think Raj Singh raised this on Hemnagar site where the custom things can be given. We are in touch with MHA and others because we have facility at Hemnagar and whether we can take it up at Hemnagar. So that problem should be resolved as early as possible. This was a specific thing, so I like to reply. A lot of issues have come. The representative from FICCI, he talked about vessel, support to the vessel making, subsidy and other things. You will be glad to know that government is also keen that the number of vessels operating in the sector on the waterways improves. So we have made a small 2-page note now to government and we have submitted the bare basics. Once government approves it, we'll definitely be making the, as you all are aware that till 2007, there was a scheme for giving subsidy to vessel, which was discontinued in 2012. And 2012 onwards, there is no such this thing, but in Maritime India Vision, there has been a fund, Maritime Development Fund is being created. And I hope that this will take care of the subsidy or support to the vessel makers or to the shipbuilders, and this can take care, because cruise vessels are different from other vessels, and cruise vessels require a lot of support by a tug or maybe by a by the piloting. Not only there has been a lot of technological advances now, and I'm sure this can take care of the things which have been taken up. Third thing I like to say, there is a lot of romanticism I could hear, like call of nature. Let me tell you very, people may not like my idea, but we should not spread our butter too thin. Let us look at the good routes which can be viable, and then if it picks up, then we should spread it. I think the route which is a traditional route, which is being taken care of by the 3 vessel operation which we did, if it is successful, I'm sure looking at it, many others will come. The importance of this whole exercise and the people coming to know, we get a lot of bad publicity also. I don't know whether I should share it, but in 2019 or maybe 20, there was a cruise ship which got stuck near Patna, and we got very bad international publicity because there was a pontoon bridge and the cruise vessel got stuck in that, and somebody who was a very renowned traveler and a travel writer, we got very, very bad publicity on that the vessel got stuck. Of course there will be problems, of course there will be issues, but there are no issue which cannot be resolved. What are the issues here? Infrastructure wise, navigational issue is the biggest challenge, because rivers, as you all are aware of the rivers which we are talking, they change course, there is overheading in river. Sometime back, I think last year only, we got stuck up in October month, and with the help of Utah, we could take it out after 3 days, and we got tremendous publicity on that because the vessel, the pilots were not trained, they had not seen that route, and that problem was there. And hydrography survey, which is being done every month, we requested Bangladesh to do it 15 days, which they are doing it now. We are making a IBP protocol route piloting system on that technology front, which can guide people that what is a what is a water depth, what is the assured water into that channel, and what is the time series data. With the help of course, Bangladesh will be doing it. And that I hope that with this technological input and support, things can move. What are the other issues? Some of you raised about health issues. And I think that is very pertinent because of COVID also, and COVID is here to stay for some more time. Hopefully it goes, but it looks like that. So we have to live life with SOPs during COVID. Government of India issued very vital SOPs for health and other things for cross-border trade last year, March, I think. And that Bangladesh was very graceful to accept it. But that was not for the passenger as such. It was for the cargo shipping. But I'm sure it can be expanded to that level also. There is a possibility. People have written tremendous thing in 2015. I was reading some of the good things which have been written about these routes. Government of India and IWI, we are developing 23 water routes, waterways for the next 7 years' time. And in this tourism, from 6 voyages, we want to make it more than 15 or 20. It all depends what type of support is being given. I like to end my intervention on Jeevan Dhara Brahmaputra, which was inaugurated by Honorable Honorable PM in the month of February. The Jeevan Dhara Brahmaputra is nothing but a coordinating, cooperative intervention from both Government of India and Government of Assam, the World Bank projects and our projects, totally 3,000 crore project, which will be giving navigational facility, giving all type of support. Government of Assam is doing a lot of things in the vessel support. They are making FRP vessels, they are retrofitting the small boats, they are bringing a lot of technological change and green changes in the vessel. I'm sure that this initiative of Jeevan Dhara Brahmaputra will be able to give a lot of support. It has, a very holistic approach. It is giving tourism, it is giving approach, it is giving to the shipbuilding. It is also, you all will be very happy to know that ship repair facility we are trying to create in Pandu with the help of Cochin Shipping Limited. Because this was not the, topic of the today's discussion, I didn't bring it. I limited my talk on the Indo-Bangladesh protocol route and the river to cruise tourism. But there is a lot of scope. There is a lot of, enthusiasm. I'm so glad to see this enthusiasm in the private sector, in the, business community, in the associations, in the general public, and all the people who have participated. I hope that this enthusiasm translates into solid work. There will be pinpricks, there will be roadblocks, there will be problems, there are solutions, and 4 jetties we are creating. We are creating 4 jetties, especially for tourism. Vishwanath Ghat is one, Pandu is another, Jogi Gopa is one, and Dhubri is another. So we are doing it, which was a foundation was laid by Honorable Prime Minister himself. We expect that another 6 to 8 months, because we are losing so much of time during COVID. So 6 to 8 months, there will be some visible improvement in the infrastructure, which will be, I'm sure, appreciated by everybody. And let me thank on behalf of my organization, on behalf of everybody who has participated, that it was a very enlightening and need of the hour workshop webinar. And I hope that things improve and we are able to take it much forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. And we are particularly not just thankful to you and your colleagues, but particularly it is important that you mentioned this Jeevan Dhara Brahmaputra project that Government of India, Government of Assam, support from World Bank with the involvement of IWAI has undertaken. This is going to be, I mean, often we use this word game changer, but this is going to be a real game changer, as I can see from the structure of this initiative. So along with that, we have Earth Ganga project. We have another project which is going on in West Bengal between Haldia to Triveni. This coming up of new jetties, new infrastructure along the river Ganga. So all this taken together, I think, is going to take us to the next step. And as you said, that within the National Waterway project that we have, there are new initiatives are being taken, and river cruise is one of the pillars of that initiative. So on that note, let me now request our colleague from Bangladesh, Mr. Enamul Mazid Khan Siddique. He is from Oxfam, Bangladesh, for his takeaway from this webinar and his vote of thanks. Over to Enam in about 7-8 minutes.
Thank you, Bipul. I'll take this and that. Thank you, everyone who participated today, all the speakers and guests on behalf of Oxfam. Oxfam is an organization we work against the injustice of poverty in the world, and any sectoral collaboration, cooperation when we participate in or we try to influence, our key focus stays for the marginalized people, the well-being of the marginalized people.
There are some connectivity issues. Now we can't hear you. We can't hear you properly.
Let me try to change the. Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking about Oxfam's mandate. Oxfam focuses on fighting injustice of poverty. So when we are looking at inland water transport as a sector, we are coming from that lens again, and we are looking at how the revival of collaboration and cooperation across the boundaries, especially through the waterways, is going to have a positive impact on the most marginalized communities in the borders. When we are talking about big public investments in the waterways improvement, how that's reviving the ecosystem and how that's creating economic opportunities for the communities in the grassroots. And that is when we are encouraged, like when we see that small and medium-sized vessels are allowed by the governments to operate. We know historically communities were connected through different vessels, and we didn't have big ships like today in that age of cooperation, communal harmony and friendship when borders were not there. And I think it's also possible to revive them. It's a good step forward that we are all taking. And the one ask that I think we will make to everyone is to include the most grassroots communities in the decision-making process as well. When we are talking about inviting tourism in these areas, this means this is also the area where the communities thrive. They bathe, they catch fishes, they take water. This is their private space, even if it's a public space. So when we include them in the designing of the tourism, that means they will be able to protect their own spaces as well. And at the same time, they will be able to provide services and benefit from the tourism growth in the waterways. And that applies for the all the business that we are looking forward to through the waterways. And I think we should also look at traditions and heritage. I was talking about it in the beginning in the chat box, and how we can also facilitate that, which might in many cases require less investment, but more friendship and collaboration. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, Enam. So let me thank all of you once again, including our partners from Bangladesh, our stakeholders from both Bangladesh and India, and my colleagues from Cuts International for organizing this program. And we have noted down all this knowledge and ideas, and we're going to take it forward. We are very grateful to IWAI and the IWPA for their support. We have been working very closely with them. And I'm sure that going forward, we're going to work more closely with both IWAI and the IWTA and other stakeholders, including the private sector and communities, for taking this initiative forward in a manner that it is win-win for everybody. By everybody, I mean for the economy, for the society, as well as for the environment. And this is something only then we can achieve some of the sustainable development goals that we always talk about. So on that note, let me thank all of you and have a safe stay. We are going through this difficult, stressful time, but I'm sure we are going to overcome it and overcome it soon. And post-COVID world will be much more resilient, much more sustainable than what it is today. So with all your support, we are going to do that. We will be a part of that. So let me thank you once again. And I'm closing this webinar. So thank you very much.